Oh, let me put you onto something wild. Joni Lamb and Daystar TV have been raking in serious cash for a long time. I'm talking way back in 2011, their financials already showed they were swimming in money, nearly $90 million in revenue. And guess what? A chunk of that wasn't just going to ministry work. Nope. They were out here living it up with private jets and luxury mansions. Now, I get it. Big ministries bring in big donations. But when you see leaders flying high while preaching humility, it raises some eyebrows, you know? Makes you wonder how much of that cash is actually going into spreading the gospel versus funding a lavish lifestyle. Just something to think about. And it's not just old news. Daystar's money move.
Before we dive in, smash that like button, subscribe to Truth Today, and hit the bell for instant updates. Let's uncover the truth together.
Moves have continued to raise questions over the years. We're talking prime real estate, high-end travel, and a lifestyle that looks more like that of a celebrity than a servant of God. Now, of course, ministries need funding to operate, and no one expects church leaders to live in poverty. But when the donations from faithful viewers are fueling luxury living, people start asking, where's the line? It gets even messier when you remember that many of these donations come from everyday people who are giving sacrificially, believing they're supporting the spread of the gospel, not someone's extravagant lifestyle. And the kicker? Daystar has operated as a nonprofit, meaning all that tax-exempt money just keeps rolling in. At the end of the day, it leaves folks wondering how much of this is really about ministry and how much is just big business. Do you ever wonder where all that money goes? The money folks faithfully send to the Lord? Well, let's just say the Lord ain't flying commercial. We're talking about private jets, luxury cars, multi-million-dollar mansions, and ministry expenses that look a lot like five-star vacations. Meanwhile, the people giving their last dime are still struggling to pay rent. Something ain't adding up. Of course, not every church or pastor is living large, but some of these so-called men of God are out here treating tithes and offerings like a personal ATM. And that's why folks are asking, is it really about God or is it about the lifestyle? Oh, you won't believe this. Joni Lamb's salary just leaked, and let me tell you, it's wild. Sis is out here making $500 an hour. Yeah, you heard that right. $500 an hour. That's more than some folks make in a whole week. Now, I get that running a ministry takes work, but let's be real, $500 an hour? Meanwhile, the people donating are out here struggling, believing they're funding the gospel, not someone's millionaire lifestyle. And remember, this is a nonprofit, tax-exempt money rolling in while she's stacking checks like a Fortune 500 CEO. At this point, you gotta ask, is this ministry or is it just business?
If you're all about exposing the facts, like this video, subscribe, and click the bell for instant updates. Hey, everyone.
We see their lake house. We see their the mansion that she has on a street in Colleyville, and another one she just built on the same street. So that's 3 houses. Then we see there that the high-rise condo overlooking the beach, Florida Panhandle Beach, the beautiful Florida Panhandle. That's a roughly $3 million condo. So we can look at those statements and we say, there's got to be money, because those are not owned by the church. Those are owned privately. And we can look back, and we can look back at the 2010 records that were revealed by the intervener's motion and the judge's decision to unseal the records, and we see that she was getting a pretty nice housing allowance at the time. Housing allowances are tax-free income that were designed for poor pastors that lived in a house that wasn't owned by the church, so they could. A pastor might be making, $20,000, $30,000 a year, and how are they going to feed their family and still make a house payment? So the housing allowance was designed for people like that, not people that are wealthy.
Oh boy, this Joni Lamb situation is wild. So, check this out. Trinity Foundation's investigators dug up some jaw-dropping financial records. Turns out Joni and her late husband, Marcus Lamb, raked in a whopping $1.6 million in housing allowance. And get this, it was meant for struggling pastors. Like, imagine taking funds meant to help small-town preachers keep a roof over their heads and using it to live in luxury. Now, we all know the Bible doesn't play when it comes to money and greed. The love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, 1 Timothy 6:10. And honestly, isn't that exactly what's happening here? The more money is at stake, the harder it becomes to just do the right thing. Instead of leading with integrity, it's all about protecting the cash flow. And let's not even get into the serious accusations of covering up child SA, which is beyond disgusting. Like, how much money does it take for someone to lose their conscience? At this point, it seems like Joni's heart, soul, mind, and strength are all wrapped up in luxury living. At the end of the day, God sees it all. But man, what a mess. In the end, this whole situation raises a serious question. When does ministry turn into a money-making empire? While churches and Christian networks do need funding to operate, there's a fine line between sustaining a ministry and living in excess at the expense of faithful donors. It's not just about numbers on a financial report, it's about trust. People give sacrificially, believing they're supporting God's work, not luxury living. And when the leaders preaching humility and sacrifice are the ones benefiting the most, it's no wonder folks start asking tough questions. At the end of the day, God sees it all. And while people may get away with financial scandals for a time, nothing escapes his judgment. The real question is, how many more will be misled before accountability steps in? Let's talk about it in the comments. What do you...
If you're here for the truth, hit that like button, subscribe to Truth Today, and ring the bell so you never miss our next investigation. Stay informed.